Amirantha's eyes widened slightly, his only outward concession to surprise. The demon just shrugged off a spell designed to immobilize any conjured entity, or at least Amirantha's idea of any until this very moment. Looking at the railing demon, Amirantha, warlock of the Setembria, stroked his chin whiskers as he considered what he observed. A vain man by any measure, he affected purple robes with silver needlework at the collar and sleeves, and had his servant trim his beard and hair weekly, knowing exactly how it should look each time. His receding hairline had caused him to let his dark hair fall to his shoulders, and his dark brows and pointed chin beard gave him a look to match his calling in life, a summoner of demons. Or at least look the part to those who were willing to pay gold for the summoning or banishment of demons. He muttered a very reliable invocation and watched. The demon should have instantly knelt before his master in abject obedience, but he could sense the summoned creature's rage growing at the command. Amirantha sighed in a mixture of frustration and confusion, and wondered what he had conjured this time. Ignoring the ringing in his ears, the warlock reached into a large belt pouch. He had personally sewn this pouch years ago, patiently weaving magic into the threads as he labored under the supervision of a master artificer named Lechona in the great city of the Serpent River, his one and only attempt at fabricating magic cloth. He had been pleased with the results, this confining bag that let him gather together many stones of power without disastrous consequences. He was especially proud of the needlework, but found the entire process so tedious and exasperating he now paid artificers and tailors to fashion what he needed in exchange for his own skills or his gold. His finger rubbed lightly against a series of embroidered knots inside, which indicated each pocket he had fashioned. He found the one he sought in less time than it took to think on it, and withdrew a stone prepared against a time such as this. Holding it aloft, he incanted a spell that drew power stored in the stone, and he directed it to the hastily reinforced barrier. He felt, almost physically, the shock reverberating through the ward as the demon hurled himself against the mystic defense. Then the creature paused, looking at the space in the air where the barrier stood, as if he could see it, and pulled back his massive right fist. He unleashed a blow that might shatter a bull-hide shield, and Amirantha could swear he felt the shock from it travel through the air to strike him. At least that's what he told himself when he flinched. Then the demon struck even harder, and Amirantha raised his hand to reinforce the barrier with more energy. To his astonishment, this time he did feel the energy translated into a blow that ran up his arm, as if he had struck a massive boulder with a sword or scythe. He stepped back until he stood hard against the wall. "What do I do now?" he muttered absently. Again the demon hurled himself at the barrier, and Amirantha, warlock of the Setembria, knew he was going to get through. Pushing aside a sudden urge to laugh, the unexpected and dangerous often affected him this way, he drew out another object from his large belt pouch and smashed it on the floor. A noxious gas erupted from it, and Amirantha fled from the deep cave in which he had conjured the monster. It was a summoning area he had especially prepared for this ritual, protected by multiple wards and other safeguards he had erected against such a mishap. He hurried along a narrow tunnel, muttering, "What next?" Reaching a larger open area closer to the entrance of the cave warren, he cursed himself for a fool. All his real items of power were still in the cave where he had summoned the demon. He had been so surprised by the unexpected conjuration, he had left them on the floor. He had thought himself ready for any eventuality with the demons he usually summoned. It never occurred to him one he hadn't summoned might appear unexpectedly. Shaking his head at his own stupidity, he stopped. At least he had left another lantern here, more to indicate which way he needed to go, rather than any anticipation he might be fleeing this way for his life, having abandoned his other lantern. Muttering to himself, he said, "Sometimes I wish I was as clever as I claim to be." He turned toward the tunnel through which he had just passed, realizing that if he didn't stop the demon here, the creature was free to choose another exit from the caves. Not only would that be bad for anyone living within the demon's reach, say 10,000 people by last census, it would also be disastrous for Amirantha's reputation. The governor of Lanada was waiting near a particular cave mouth with a fairly sizable retinue of